again, everybody. Welcome to the 27th annual Fabulous Fords Forever, the most gigantic car show ever. This is a party, as you heard, 1,900 cars, 15,000 people. And Donnie, we have a very special guest right now.
Yes, we do. Indeed, we do. John Force, welcome once again to Fabulous Fords Forever and also to Horsepower for an Hour.
Well, you know, when Ford Motor Company asked, our drivers, Robert Height and my daughters, Brittany and Courtney, to join, I didn't realize how big. I've lived in California my whole life, and we do shows ourselves, and I didn't realize how big this show was. I'm usually racing on this weekend, but 1,900 cars, boy, that makes my shows look a little weak.
It's actually, and speaking of you doing racing, now you just finished up out at Charlotte, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, but you're currently 5th in points.
As you can see, John Force is right over there. Once he's done there, he'll make his way over here.
And you're right over there.
So you're 5th in the points right now. Your team you're just ahead of Cruz Pedregon. Your team is running hard. You run hard every year, John. We talked about this last year. What is the success, the continuity that continue to make where you're at?
Well, Courtney's doing very well in the Traxxas Ford. I think she's 8th or 9th in the points. Brittany's testing her new top fueler with the Boss 500 motor. She's here today also. But Robert Hyde, he's killing all of us. Yeah, with that Auto Club Ford, he's just, I was lucky enough to get around Pomona, to get around Mike Neff, but Robert's car, him and Jimmy Prock, they just got the magic. They say they walk on water, and boy, four races in a row. He's going to be tough to beat.
That's the 4th time in NHRA history that's been done, and that's we'll look forward to now. Next week we have Spring Nationals in Arizona, I believe, correct?
Yeah, we got a weekend off this week, and we're right back here working. So I'm excited when you see this many cars, and a lot of fans from the old days, a lot of people that I met over the years at car shows. I really want to thank you because, right now in this economy, it's tough out there in America, and for your group, to put on this fabulous car show. It's just totally cool for the people to be able to come here to Knott's Berry Farm and enjoy it.
Well, it's great to have you. Glenn?
Hey, John, I got a question for you. What I want to try to do is reach out and connect all these people here at the show. Let's take you back, years back when you first started working on cars. What did you start off with? What kind of car did you start off with? And what kind of advice do you have for a lot of these guys who are getting into racing?
Well, I won't say when I started my original race car. I'd have to go back to Moses. It's been that long. But I was in school, graduated in '67. I'll be 63 in May. So, but my race car does the running for me, so I can do this. Not like NASCAR. In NASCAR, they'd have to have rest areas for me to park. But my first street car, and I'll be honest, I hated it. It was a '61, I think, Ford Fairlane with the big long wings. It was a 3-speed on the column with a 6-cylinder. And my dad was not about racing. And my dad was a truck driver trying to feed the family. My mom was a cook at Denny's. And you didn't hot rod. But we took that thing, my brother Louie, we put a 4-speed on the floor. We put a Ford Interceptor motor in it. It was called Interceptor. And we cruised Harvey's broiler and looked to race. And that was when I was just a dumb kid. Now I'm still a dumb kid. But my first, I'm with Ford now. I was with GM for a number of years, but I've been with Ford the last 14, 15 years. But my first real race car, I had actually purchased from a guy, a famous Ford guy, Jack Chrisman, and it was a rear engine Sidewinder, single overhead cam, Ford motor, blown on nitro. And it had the Mach 1 body on it. And boy, it was scary, chain driven. Wow. But that was really, I had a fuel altered before that. But my first fuel funny car was a Ford. And then, of course, I went to General Motors because that was my program in the early days. And then switched back to Ford.
Well, now your team has, and fast forward now to this season, your team's got a commanding lead thus far into the season. Going into next week at the Spring Nationals, what's the plan for the next week?
Well, you never change the game plan. You surround yourself, you ask the questions, how do you win? You surround yourself, one, with good sponsors like we have with Ford Motor Company and naturally Castrol. I've been with them 28, going on 29 years. And Auto Club of Southern California, you look over there, Robert will be pitching. He loves Auto Club. Yeah. And, collect your car insurance. And all the things that they do, but they finance our team. Naturally, Brand Source, and Mac Tools, so many people, Freightliners joined us. What was the question? I know there was a question.
Yeah, the question is going into next week is the Spring Nationals. What is it? Do you change the game plan up? Because again, you guys, not only you but Robert, and we're going to talk to him in a few minutes about his 4-win streak. He's clearly, I mean, on pace to take this thing all the way. Do you just keep on what you're doing? Do you just, if something's not broken, don't fix it?
Well, Courtney said to me this morning, Dad, how are we going to win? How are we going to win, you know, this next race? I said, we're going to leave Robert at home and give him the weekend off, because his old hot rod, I mean, I watch him and Jimmy Prock, and Robert, I used to think I was the best on the starting line. Robert Height, that drives the Auto Club Ford, he's the best driver on the circuit, and I'd say that to Petragon's face. I'd say that, and not because he won, you know, 4 straight, because his focus, you know, Robert was a trap shooter, and he's got the eye of that deal to stay on top of that beam and cut those Christmas trees, and he really has really evolved, and you know, he won the championship a couple years ago, so I'm excited. It's exciting for me to watch him. But let me tell you, Cruz Petragon, he's tough.
Fast Jack Beckman?
Oh, Beckman, he's bad boy. There's another guy that taught my girls in the driving school at Frank Hawley's driving school. And Fast Jack on the starting line, he's one of the best too. But Robert, I watch him and he just doesn't, and I'm not saying it because he's here.
.053 hole shot is incredible.
He won that last race and beat all those cars that outrun him. And he doesn't cheat that light and go deep. He just does what he does. And I'm trying to learn from him right now. I take him out for a beer and I say, let's talk. So he ain't talking.
Well, one of the questions that we field most frequently in our radio program is the 4 wides. It's the most unique venue in all of the NHRA circuit. John, you told me last year, tell the folks out here, what do you think of the 4 wides?
Well, it's different. It's right. You know, I don't know if I'd like it in the countdown for the championship in the last 6 races, but it's 4-lane. Bruton Smith built the Bellagio, an unbelievable racetrack, and to see 4 lanes in that stadium, it's unbelievable. And the sound, you're talking about 4 funny cars, 8,000 horsepower, 32,000 horsepower. The ground shakes, the grandstands, they shake. And I won the first one, the inaugural, and my daughter Ashley in the Ford was runner-up. And I was trying to get it again this year, but I smoked the tires, and Robert, he went on to get the win. But it's a great race. The fans, they love it because it's different. But boy, that Christmas tree, I mean, Courtney said, you know, what do I do, Dad, to try to get after this thing? I said, focus, concentrate on your own ball, don't worry about anybody else, and maybe you'll get a win. So, and she's progressing, she's learning. What was the question?
Yeah, speaking of smoking,
he asked a question I never answered.
No, you answered it. You said he asked you what it was about. What could you tell most of these folks who are just getting started in racing? What would your advice be to them?
Well, number one, like in anything in life, don't do it for the money, because we work. I got a car collection myself, motorcycles. I can't. All my employees drive them just to keep the batteries charged. But we work 7 days a week. We had shows last night. We had shows the night before. We're out here. And this is our weekend off, and I'll be honest, give us a crowd, my daughters and Robert, and we really do appreciate you. I was terrified that nobody would come up here in front of your booth, because, you know, been doing this your whole life. What really is the catalyst that fires you is the cheer of the crowd. So let's hear it for me. See? I hate to say that I said once, I don't have an ego, and my wife goes, you got the biggest ego I've ever said.
But with 15, folks, 15 world championships, for an ego.
Well, I mean, it was money from sponsors that enabled us to test, to get, you know, the aerodynamics and the technology that come out of Ford, and then to hire the right people, you know, to, you know, Austin Coyle led me to all those championships, and it's just so many people that got us there, but it's really camaraderie, and you got to build a family. I never answered your question down there, did I?
Yes, no, you did, actually. It was the advice.
Yeah, but you got to build a family, and around you, it's like if you're going to be a Dodger, you're going to be an Angel or a Laker, you better be in that family, because if one guy's an individual, it doesn't work. And I know that Robert's over, you know, even when he's got to race me, and he's talking to me about, they need to do this to your car. You know what I'm saying? And that's what's really cool, that we work that close. But I'll tell you, NHRA drag racing is really a fan. I had too much coffee this morning.
Well, I got to ask you a question. My wife and I and our focus group watched you run Courtney for the first time in Arizona, and you smoked the tires halfway down the track. John, you got to tell me the truth. Did you do it deliberately, or were you out to get it?
No, when you're my age, you're fighting to keep your job. I ain't worried about that kid. I will say, in the countdown, in the first two days of qualifying, I was like any father that loves his children. I was looking over, trying to pick up her tree, all those bulbs, trying to make sure she was in. And half the time I was looking at the wrong tree. She was 3 lanes over. But no, I've had great people around me. I never did it for the money. I never did it, you know, even to this day, I can't tell you. I couldn't tell you if I'm being paid to be here or not. If it's Ford, I'm working for free. Thank you, Ford, for the opportunity. We just work every day, and because we really do love it. I was in awe when we got over in here, and I saw all these Fords, and I saw the history, and I know these people that it's their dream. And you got to be careful. Those wives want to build a room addition, and they always make you sell that dream you built, you and her, sometimes. But at the end of the day, it's about being a team. It's about working together. I tell the young ones, get an education. You know what I'm saying? Get an education. Stay in school, because you got to watch the technology. It's computerized. And half the time I have to stand in front of the computers in our compound. What do you think? Look at that going down. What do you think about tire spin and drive shaft? And I'm sitting there faking it like, are you kidding me? I can't even change the radio clock in my car. So that's why I just stick to the AM radio.
Attaboy.
I don't get in any trouble.
News Talk 1520.
Yep. That's right. That's me. But do it because you love it, and the kids always respect, you know, mom and pop. That's what's most important. And because no matter how mean they seem to be to you sometimes, they're doing it because they love you, because they've lived it. Get an education. You know, but there's so many opportunities in NHRA drag racing. It's whether you want to be a driver or a crew chief or a mechanic or a PR person or so many opportunities, but you need an education to do it. And so do it because you love it. And remember one thing, you live in the greatest country in the world, and that's America, with the American flag. And I want to say, then I'll shut up and get off this stage. I want to thank the men and women in the police department and the fire departments. They sacrifice every day. You know, I'm not saying you can't get hurt in drag racing. We lost a young kid, Eric Medlin, in 07. He was the next generation of driver. But it does happen. But nothing like the men and women that every day are on the streets to protect you. And then naturally the men and women in the armed services that fight overseas, that we're over here having a ball and our children are going over. My brother's son is going over in the Marine Corps, and man, he's hot to go in that fight. Yeah. And it's just, they sacrifice, and the family. So to all of you that have, children, or you have grandchildren that have gone over, or great-grandchildren, God bless you, because I know you live every day and wait for them to come home. And America's strong. It's going to be great. And no president makes us strong. It's the men and women that work every day, that build businesses in America. How you like this pitch?
Absolutely.
You think I'm leading to Obama?
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying it's the American people that make, every time things go downhill, it's just like Ford. Ford, they never took Robert have to tell me what they call it. They didn't take money from the government.
No bailouts.
No bailouts. They said, we're going to fix it. And so they did. They cut my wages.
All right, John, I got one last question before you go. Most of the group that we are in our focus group want to know, is Ashley coming back after this year of raising the baby? Because now she told us, we had her on the phone, and she told us that you're the doting grandpa. Is that right?
I've got Autumn by my daughter Adrian Robert Height. She's 7 years old, and she's a little whirlwind. Got to watch her at the races. Yeah. She runs everything. And now Jacob, he's 7 months old with Ashley and Danny, and they're just the love of my life. It's kind of different being a grandpa. Like, I really embrace it. I love it. It's just unbelievable.
Is Destiny going to come back the racing?
See, I always dodge the question.
Yeah.
I know she will because it's her life. She grew up at the racetracks, wiping the tires, polishing the cars, and the fans, they love her. And it was an opportunity. It's like the good Lord just says, it's time for Ashley to have this baby with her husband, Danny. And that gave an opportunity because we didn't have a lot of funding to test my girls, so we were able to put her in a funny car, and Courtney and Brittany in a dragster, and it just, I think the good Lord has a plan for an old dumb truck driver like me, and it just works. You know what I mean? So will she be back? I believe, but I couldn't make a call. She may have, if she keep popping out them boys, let's just keep having them. I need some drivers. So I gotta say, the girls do good. Sponsors love them, the fans love them. They don't even have to win. You know what I'm saying? When they just show up at the races, the crowds are there, but me and Robert, we love it. And now I'm out. You know why I'm pitching? Because I can't get a crowd anymore. Robert, because he wins everything, is getting all the crowds, and the girls because they're pretty. And I always said, like Courtney, she drives like me, she talks like me, she'll be up here in a minute. If she looked like me, she'd have everything.
John, I want to help you out a little bit. You like fans. Got a lot of fans right out here. I want to reach out to those people that are out. See out there in the parking lot, there are thousands, literally thousands of people out there. Let's see if we can wake them up. How many fans are out there in the parking lot that are fans of John Force?
Yeah!
You know what I'm going to be doing this afternoon? I'll be with Autumn and Jacob over at Knott's Berry Farm. I'm going in. My wife said, since we're going there, we're going to Knott's Berry Farm. She'll be coming here in a bit. So it's a great place. And anyway, I just love the fact that these folks come here and bring their treasures, their cars that they love, and they share it with all of you. That's what's most important. And I really appreciate Horsepower that you guys are sharing the... when are you going to get in this conversation? I'm starting to...
I'm gonna do something in just a moment here, and I just wanted you to finish up because after your, such a great American that we have right here, I want to finish this off with the national anthem and just to open up this show really properly. So when we finish here, I'd love to play the anthem.
I'll do that, and you're going to make me take off my hat, and they're going to see how gray my hair is and how old I really am.
I'll be right there with you.
John, thank you very much for spending time on Horsepower for an hour.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to play the national anthem right now to kick this show off properly.